What's up, guys? It is Sheen Trades with TraderLink, and today we're going to go over once again the commentary with a market overview, basically showing what we saw, why we paid attention to it, and go from there. So, getting started, we obviously always send out the reversion levels in the morning and label them, right? So these were the labels from the morning. Gex flip, ABSD Gex at 5250 labeled, Gex flip at 7580. Personally, didn't think it was necessary to label it. Why? Because it's just very far and I didn't expect us to go up that high. Next one is Vana flip at 2530, right? To be quite honest, I didn't expect us to go all the way down there, but we did. But that was towards the absolute very end of day. Yeah. So, one thing that I always pay close attention to is overnight moves, especially if the overnight move is relatively big, right? So we made that move down, and I was like, okay, I'm not expecting much from today, just given that we made such a big move down, right, overnight. Um, Following that, on top of the overnight move, we had actually swept, NQ had swept London lows. So with that being said, I felt like the objective had been taken out for the day. Then I scrolled out a little bit. If you actually go to the hourly on NQ, we had this level here. This was the next level on NQ, and we were so close to it. And given that we didn't sweep it here, also in my head, I figured that, okay, we're gonna fucking find a time to sweep it today. And if it didn't sweep it today, it would definitely sweep it in the upcoming overnight move. But okay, getting into this chart, right? 644, IVSQ is pretty flat as of right now. NVIDIA making new all-time highs as well. So like if you look at NVIDIA, right, I'm always paying attention to NVIDIA as explained yesterday. It's just such a big stock right now and it's been carrying the market like unbelievably. We're finally below 1100. Even then, like you have bounce levels like right here. Right, once this gets swept, I have a feeling I'm sure we'll go up. We have the gap fill from earnings to fill, so it could come up, it could go but at the same time, like I'd love if market came down, and I think it's heavily reliant on Nvidia pulling back. Um, so at 702, right? I said liking 60 to 65 for high probability short lines up with the vol reversion R1. 706 overnight move PC tomorrow. This shouldn't expand heavily today. Expecting a range. Be patient. Let it come to you. We have a Gex level at 65 and R1 at 63. So that zone will likely be the top of the range. We have some interest at 75. So if you do take shorts at the 60 to 65 zone, stop should be placed with a 5 or 15-minute close above that, right? So after I sent that out, I drew out this zone right away, right? And labeled it. And I'd basically just been waiting all day for this fucking candle to come, right? And it was a load of, oh, I just realized this was actually ES or SPX was frozen. Okay, anyway, we'll just still use it. We didn't move up anywhere from there, right? When it from here, it fucking came back up. So like 5 points when it was out today, right? So what I liked again, you'll see I caught this short initially right here when I wasn't at my desk. Got stopped out right away after that. Never came to the 65, no single. Okay, so once again, paying attention to this. 737. So still waiting, but this is before we came up to it. Never came up to our rejection level at 60, 65 zone and R1. No biggie, came back to the short GP for a solid top tick. Look for another ODT trade, as I do think we range for the day before PC. Eyes out for SMT and NQ on NQ and ES for potential trim. NQ about to hit the overnight low. ES still has some room left to downside. And then this is where NQ swept that overnight low and ES didn't, where we started pushing right back up again before, right? So this was that overnight low. And then once it was swept, if you go back to ES, that overnight low at the same time never swept, right? So then we started pushing back up. Then I immediately suggesting trims if you got in on puts, right? Why? Because once again, that SMT is very important to watch out for trims or potentially for exits. Continuing forward at 8 a.m., Skew starting to steepen out below spot price. I'd be careful. If most of you expect continuation of SCPC tomorrow, make sure you lock in profits. So let's take a look at what happened at 8 o'clock then. Doesn't really show here. So I guess we'll use ES then. So 8 a.m., literally the next, like right here, dead ass right here. So then that's when I exited majority of my position. Because of that, I just didn't like it. I didn't think we'd come down. Then we had the magnet at 52.50, right? ABS DGEX. There's the bounce as expected. Once skew started to steepen out below spot, today was wraps. 52.50 is practically the only bar, so not expecting much. 844. So still waiting for that put entry, right? Because this candle right here was the top of that 60 zone, right? So once again, no put entry. And on top of that, our data was out due to SPX spot price not being produced by CME until later on. So once again, just waited. One thing to take note of. So this was something to bring up, right? Okay, if we got in on this short GP right here, right? Display right here. This is something that I always pay close attention to. When we finally got in this, we got that move down, right? That's around the right time. 8:34. So around 9 o'clock, I send this out. So IV skew is not in our favor. Why? Because look at this. Once again, the skew, copy image, paste it here. All right, let's make this bigger so we can all see. The skew is not in our favor. Number one, why? Because it's steeper below spot price. So it's going to make it harder for the stock to fall or SPX to fall. So once again, one thing not in our favor, despite being at another one of our entry styles using the fib short, right? Footprint chart also not in our favor. Why is footprint chart not in our favor? There's positive delta on this tick down. This is a 15-minute candle, right? So on this tick down from at 8:45, we go take a look at the time frame. So 8:45, right? That down tick had positive delta built up. Next thing is IV skew making hard footprint chart matches the PA with positive delta. Parameters for shorts at this GP just not good. Another thing worth noting is timing. It's 9 o'clock. Why are we getting into a trade around 9 o'clock? It doesn't make any sense. Remember, I've stressed this every single day this past week and even last week, a couple of days, where timing of trades is super, super important. If your short setup comes, but the timing is at 9 o'clock, I would not take it almost ever, because market's going to go in low volume, and the basics behind market mechanics is during low volume, market trend tends to go up. So it just didn't line up. So timing wasn't right. Once again, so preferably waiting to short 60 to 65 zone still. We have some interest at that level on the data. Watching lunch hour to see if we get a slow push up at 10 a.m. PST. You know what to do if we get there. So we had the perfect level. We had the timing down. It wasn't going to happen, right, until post lunch. So it finally happened at 10:44, right? This is the 10 a.m. candle right here. This is where I initially was thinking that we'd go down. Why? Because we had swept this low, and that's why I started adding, or swept this high, and that's why I started adding to the position, right? It just seemed like, okay, 10 o'clock came, we swept the overnight highs. So in my head, it just made sense to start downtrending. Was definitely wrong. Not for I guess like hit a trim if you wanted to, but obviously we're waiting for a bigger move. Then we had some SMT at the highs. I believe we were on VC, so I didn't send anything out here. And make sure we're on the same time frames. 2 minutes. Let's trash all the drawings. Trash all the drawings. Okay. So right around here. Okay, so there was an SMT, but we had swept that high again in my head. And remember what I talked about, sweeping highs and lows? You want it to immediately show some form of a rejection. You don't want it to continue going up, right? When you sweep highs and lows. On top of that, there actually was SMT. Who am I kidding? Right here. Timing of that high was made right here at the same time as sorry, wait. Yeah, right here. It's actually this one right here. Okay. So NQES, once again, some SMT plus that sweep of the high and a big wick coming down. it just made sense to start entering and building a position as soon as we started getting close to it. On top of that, that sweep was the tap into the zone, right? If you look at the time, make it 2 minutes so everyone can see, right? If you look at the crosshairs, everything lines up on that candle. We swept the high, we have some bearish SMT, and we tapped into the short zone, right? You have everything lining, you have confluences and conviction to build for it to go down. Once again, make sure you start building, whether you like building a position early or you like waiting, right? A lot of people on VC were like, should I enter now? I was like, let's just wait. If you haven't entered already, I suggest waiting to tap into the zone, right? Why did I start building a position early? I firmly believe in the concept of like, okay, if I'm not fully sized in, when we get to that zone, I'm gonna be fully sized in. So I started sizing in and building a position. Why? Because I explained on VC, I'm a very impatient person in general. So at least like I want to scratch the itch of being in a position. So what do? I start building one instead of fully sizing in, right? Okay, I can get in on 5. Then as soon as I can continuously add, but my final add is going to be when we tap into the zone, right? And that's exactly what happened. No, when you do this style of trading, you won't have the best entry, which is completely fine, but your average should still be relatively good at the end of it, right? Especially if your final ad is where you wanted to get in initially. But this is what I mean by like I as a trader also have flaws like everybody else, right? And it goes just those flaws come from my natural personality of like being an impatient person. But at the end of the day, it still worked out because we had a plan, right? Ever since the morning, even at 9 o'clock, I was saying, let's wait till post lunch to get a move into the 60-65 zone through low volume. And then when volume picked up, that's immediately when we started downtrending, right? Once we met all those parameters. And that was on live. And that's when we caught this move down here. And that was pretty much my final exit. I was pretty much done for the day. Um, why? Because I would have preferred if I left bigger position size on runners for low of day, but we had basically swept everything that I wanted to, right? Even right here, right? Um, that's basically when I was like, okay, when I saw that SMT happen, or not SMT, just when we started sweeping all these lows, I was like, okay, I'm content with the place, right? So let's go into what if you had missed that going into the rest of the day, what else could you have taken? So let's trash all the drawings because I already see some SMT on the chart. So people start being able to recognize it. We have all these relative equal highs, right? We draw a line here, zoom in on that same candle right here. ES swept that high. NQ didn't sweep that high. How do we know when to exit? So when it comes to exiting, number one, my biggest thing is I like selling into strength. Why? Because IV is super, super high, right? Especially when you get such a big downtick like this. Like the contract high was 2.4 at that moment. I sold at 2.37. And they went all the way back up to like, or as low as 1.7, 1.8. So I took the position, or I took off the position at a pretty much a perfect time. Even here, when we got down to here, the contracts were at like 2.4. I mean, 2.2, sorry. So it didn't even get to where my contracts, where the high of my sell was until later when we were down here. Because IV had just been so much higher after that move down that the contracts definitely pick up some interest and value, right? Um, when it comes to picking your exits, I always suggest like internal levels or levels. So like here would have been a trim, right? Trim, stop at break even. Here also could have been a trim. Like when you hit these like internal lows, those are always good areas to trim out of a position, right? On a 5 minute, let's see. Yeah, like these internal levels are always good trims. I had been trimming along the way down as well. Like I'm not full position. I'm always trimming on the way down, right? We swept these. And by then I was fully out. Didn't have enough contracts anymore to have runners. How do you determine high probability short zone? Because there's no interest above us, right? So this was the last image that I had sent. Last level is 65 here, right? So the odds that we push out of the range above 65 with no interest there is very slim. Um, so that's why I was saying like I think it's a high probability short zone. It's just like a label. On top of that, it's within the zone, there's R1, right? Yes, you could have waited for R1, but once again, I like impatience. My impatience gets the best of me. And I start building a position early on. You can start building a position in the zone instead of waiting to start, or instead of being like me and building it as we push up, right? As soon as you tap into the zone, you can immediately get in half your position size, quarter your position size, whatever, and go from there. But as this account has gotten bigger that I've been trading on, then I start sizing up more, right? I think this account initially started 2 weeks ago with 7K, and then it's at 15.8 now. But with 7K, I was sizing 10 contracts at around like 1.8, so relatively like 20% of the portfolio. Then I just maintained it until we got up to like 13, 14K. I was like, okay, I can start sizing with like 3K, 4K, right? Even 3K is still a little bit much. I actually know 4K is much. 3K is like another added $1,000 on top of my original sizing, a little bit over 1,000, right? So once again, it's understanding the size of the portfolio that you're in while you're trading. Um, right. I just stopped trading with like my long-term money because it wasn't sustainable for a moment. I was having like big swings on the account when it just wasn't right. Um, like I'd size 50K and out the money puts or calls, and I'd get absolutely squashed, and I'd have like a big red day, but it'd be followed up by the same size green day. So it's just going back and forth. But I think if I were to trade on that account again, like for those who have traded on a big account, it gets exhausting, like trading with that kind of money. Like 50K in a position's a lot. Like mentally, it's so draining. So like it's nice to, and I know one person who can concur is Hassan because we've had this conversation a long time ago. Like he had a 400K month, and after that, a guy started sizing with 1K, 2K, and I was like, why? He's like, dude, it's just exhausting. And I started doing 50K sizing, and even sometimes 100K. You stay glued to your computer. Yeah, that too. Liquidos is right. Like when you have a lot more money on the line, you get the emotions come in, and you're also glued to your computer. You don't know when. So for me, it just got so exhausting. So I started trading with a small account. Like it's just way too exhausting, man. That's when the gray hairs really come out. When both indices diverge S&T, it seems like both indices reverse, not just that one. Yeah, majority of the time. So exactly. So Jade knows, right? I like when I was trading futures, I always pick the one that didn't get the sweep. Why? Because if it goes above it or below it, then that level that it swept, then that's your stop loss. You can just put it a couple ticks above that. Why? It's just define stop loss, less work. Yeah, I mean look, I made a lot of my money in 2022 and early 2023. That's when I made pretty much everything. And then end of 2023, last quarter, I'd lost like a quarter million, and I was like, okay, I need to just relax. I'm using about 20%. Like if I'm in swings for swing trades, I do half size. So like the account's sitting at 15.7, right? So if I'm in swings, or if I get in a swing position, I'll use 1500, so 10%. But my average size on this account of 15K right now is like 10 contracts to 20 contracts. Do you have live trading sessions with alerts during market hours? Yeah, they're sized for 0, but keep in mind, Raphael, it's uh in the money contracts. So the odds that I experience max pain or zero, like a full loss, 100% loss, is like a 10 to 20% chance. Um, do you have live trading sessions with alerts? No, technically we have live trading sessions, but we just do analysis. But occasionally we give the non-financial advice. Can't wait to get that confidence. Yeah, I mean it takes time, right? I've been trading for now actually 6 years, almost 6 years. I started in 2018, so it's coming up to 6 years. And also, like, one thing about traders that I think makes the biggest difference in terms of personality is like you cannot be afraid to spend money. Those who are not afraid to, yeah, the confidence with being able to lose that too. Like it's like you can't be afraid. The confidence comes with being able to lose. Yeah. Like the money on the table that you're trading with needs to be money that isn't that doesn't matter. Do you have a separate full-time? No, it's just trading now. Trading has been my full-time job since September of last year. But take that into account, right? Quarter four was my worst, was my like after hitting what I think I made like over 2 million in trading from 2022 to 2023. Yeah, I was committing white collar crimes professionally. So I worked at a hedge fund for 2 years after I graduated in 2021. Or no, wait, yeah, 2021. Um, and I got recruited to go to work at a hedge fund. So I was there for about 2 years, but they didn't allow us to trade, but I still traded. Um, I had my own accounts and in ways that I'm not going to talk about. But so I was trading at the time. And we launched TraderLink. I didn't have enough time. I also made so much fucking money from trading that I didn't need a job anymore. What was your degree? My degree was business administration with a concentration in finance. So I took classes on the stock market. Yeah, exactly. So the one thing that I always stress is like the money. So even if I had lost money from trading, my job would cover all my expenses. Dude, I got paid right around six figures for what I was doing at work right after college. So I'm not everything was covered. What were your main strategies to make that much? It was Gex. Like, but obviously times change, right? You adapt to the market. It was Gex, volume profile plus fibs. Like that's all I used at the time. Um, but the markets back then were a lot more violent. And I also had balls back then. No, on SPX. Like I was trading out the money SPX. Yeah, summer last year was so crazy. You could make so much money. So much money. Like I would, and that was back then. I was putting in $100,000 trades on scalps. Like there was I don't know if anyone remembers this. That's an OG Hoodie Sheen, the OG Hoodie Sheen. Like if I'd be down like over $100,000 in a day, and I would just go silent, and then like Carmelo fucking Anthony, Hoodie Mello, like I would just scalp like crazy, and I'd make it all back in a matter of like 2 hours of just scalping. But that's like at a certain point, once again, right? It gets so tiring. I remember my first like six-figure loss when I was working. I literally went to the bathroom to throw up after. Like I'd made a good amount, like, and that was me experiencing my first like six-figure loss. Like I went to the bathroom to throw up after. I was like, Jesus Christ. And I was at work too. That was a gruesome day. But yeah, it's just like uh it just gets tiring trading like big money. And that's when I was like full porting too. Like it's not like I was like that's when like me putting in six figures into a position was like full port, full port, full port, right? And um Liquidos is lucky, bro. 1 to 2 years, and he got taught all the right things versus like everyone going through like a bull flag phase like me, or a 9 21 EMA crossover, MACD, fucking RSI shit. Dude, Rover, let me tell you, man. I Before I started making money, I had lost over $200,000, and that was all the money I saved up and all the money that I had worked for. So from like that's work money, money saved, selling things on the side. I'd lost $200,000, and keep in mind, I was like 20. Like I was selling a bunch of clothes, man. Yeah, dude, summer was crazy. Like that's when I was working a job too. Like I was on my lunch break at like from 11 o'clock. I went on a 2 hour like lunch break because, well, I was on a salary, so I just didn't really give a shit and I finished everything. But like, yeah, I was down 90K, $98,000. And then I came back green $170,000. I was like, yep, that's how you fucking trade. How do you lose 250K with such a good win rate? So at the end of the day, you'll go through ruts in trading. You'll always go through hot moments, and you'll always go through ruts. It's when the overconfidence comes in and you size inconsistently. Like I would go from sizing, like my initial trade would be 10K and I would get 100%. Then instead of sizing with 10K again, I would start sizing with like 45, 50K. And then I would lose like 20% all my profits in a day and from that one trade, and then literally just keep going down the rabbit hole. I would lose like 50% and sell out of it. Then I'd get in another trade with 50K. And then once again, just inconsistent sizing when you get too cocky about winning. It is what it is, right? Yeah, I know these I believe we're long term we're already in negative gamma. It was like Gio and I were talking about it. We coded it out. It was like 52.75. So long as we stay below 52.75, like this will continue down. That's a good quote. Confidence is the food of the wise man and the liquor of the fool. So once again, right, it's just when you get way too overzealous. Yeah, 52.75 SPX. When you get way too overzealous of like you're getting high off the wins, right? But yeah, you just go from uber confidence to a long time rut. Even in the beginning of this year, quarter 1, I didn't do too well. I was like minus 80 grand. And I was like, okay, like if I want to maintain this, I need to and I started trading with like my big account again, and then once again made back the losses and then just got exhausted. Like it's just so tiring trading with bigger size. What does SMT stand for? I don't know what it stands for, but it's just divergence of the indices. Like that's just the name that can I don't know what the acronym is. Oh, smart money. Yeah, smart money trading, some shit like that. Something like that. PC. I don't know what PC means. Politically correct. Like today was a bloody day for my fucking long term. Pretty sure. I haven't even looked. Yeah, like today's a bloody day for my long term. Minus 18.9K on the long term. Biggest losing day was like over 160,000. Biggest winning day was 296,000. I'll never forget that day. Oh, PCE. PCE is what do you call it? Core PCE production uh something this personal consumption expenditure. PCE. Yeah, it's a data release tomorrow morning. It's a pre-market. So PCE is always going to move the market. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. That's the only data tomorrow. Yeah, it's either 5,300 or 5,200. Yeah, pretty much. Like we either send it down but pre-market or we pop up and then guess what? I'm still gonna look for shorts after PCE. I don't give a fuck. We're at the level where I'm just shorts only. If we get to like 5,000 or 4,900, that's when I'll start looking for longs. Why do you think market opened red today? I mean, we're just in that momentum stage of like we hit all-time highs and we're just coming down. Like at a certain point, you have to correct, right? You can't have all this green, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 days of pure green, then followed by a tiny little pullback, and then even more to send it to fucking all-time highs. Like, no, that's at a certain point, it's just it needs to correct a little bit. I'm not saying we're gonna get a market tank, right? Once again, I said this multiple times. I'm not here to call the top. I'm not here to call the bottom. But if we're in prices that I'm only going to go short at, I'm going to continuously look for shorts, right? When we were down here, I was looking for longs, right? And as soon as we started getting up to here, I started fucking loading in my put position and it went well. Then I got fucking bagged. All right. So then that's when it was like, okay, this is not it. Like this, Gio and I were talking, this reminded us of the 13 days of fucking hell from Apple. Like, it is what it is. But hey, Like I thought at 5,200 we would start downtrending, but we didn't. So I was still looking for puts at SPX 5,200. It's like right around here, I was still looking for puts and then got bagged. And once again, still continue to look for puts. Why? Because it just doesn't make sense to me to go long. Like, why the fuck am I longing all-time highs? Like to me, I will never do that. It does not make any sense. I will not look for longs at this level. And I stress this, whatever Furu out there that you follow is telling you to go long at these prices, yeah, it may work out, but personally, like they don't know enough about market overall then, in my opinion. If you think with the economic stage that we're in, that we're gonna keep pushing all-time highs, and if it happens, great. But guess what? I'm not trading based upon macro, right? I'm not loading in long dated puts to trade based upon macro effects, right? To me, the economy is in a shit place, right? And with that being said, like, yeah, I'm going to continuously trade the chart, but I'm only going to be trading shorts, right? But those are all intraday. You guys have seen it every single day for the past 2 weeks, just shorts, just shorts, just shorts, right? Even when we're up here, we're still looking for shorts. SPX also had a small intraday buyer's gap from that data freeze. I think the moment the data came back, like we started popping, and I was like, dude, this shit's so fucking whack. And our data was down too because of that, which is also even more annoying. And it came back like right when lunch hour started. A bunch of hoes. Overall, like when we get to the level to start looking for longs, I will look for longs, but once again, just not now. And also for those who are like what do you call it? Not a sub. We still have our giveaway running. It's on Twitter. Like and retweet the post, follow the account, and we'll be picking the winners later on tomorrow. Well, I'll be picking the winners tomorrow. Um, and then our live VC that we've been running is open to the public. The giveaway is just a weekly trial giveaway because a lot of people have been saying like they wanted weekly trials, like whenever we started talking about it, and they wanted to try the platform, but it's too expensive for them for $100 a month. And for those who are in this, like they know that it's worth it. They stay here. We have people ever since the beginning still paying. And I'm not talking about the beginning of TraderLink. I'm talking about the beginning of Apex. Like those people, like we have people since December of 2022 who have still been using it. And we have new people who get into it, who take the time to learn, and now they'll never leave because they can't trade without it. When the data was down today, everyone's saying the same thing. Are we gonna have merch? Gio and I have always want to do merch. But number one, for the quality that we were looking for, it was like $25 plus for one t-shirt. And it's like, even if we sell it at 50, you're gonna be left over with some like garbage ass sizing. And it doesn't make sense because TraderLink already doesn't make any fucking money. So okay. Can you talk about the 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. candle reversal you were mentioning briefly in the live VC yesterday? Any criteria to look for? SMT. I would always look for SMT around 7 or 10 a.m. PST. Like that, I will always look for some form of SMT. But yeah, like TraderLink doesn't make enough money now. We don't get payouts because we don't make enough money. So like, why the fuck? Like, we can't do merch because it'll put us in debt. Like, it doesn't make sense as a company. It wouldn't make us any money. I'm still not profitable, but the value I've been getting is priceless. Like, remember, Raphael, I have to ask you, are you trading in the money contracts or are you still taking out the money? This is like now my first question. Transitioning in the money, good. That'll help you a lot more than you think, man. It'll help you a lot more. Sometimes you just need to be called out. Yeah, impay. Okay, think about it like this. If you're sizing with like, okay, let's say your account is like 3 grand, 2-3 grand. In the money contracts are anywhere around $100 each, right? Or like 150 to 200. With a 3K account, you can get away with sizing with like 500-600 bucks. In the money spy. I'm only trading in the money spy as of right now for the account. If I can, once this account gets big enough, on this like day trading account, then I'll start sizing with it. Then I can start buying in the money SPX and I'll be a little bit better. It's the spy contract that you select SRK. It's in the money means like on the options chain. Jade, you can ask like Liquidos and Fatty. I've bought contract I used to trade SPX contracts that are $1,500 each, and I would be buying like 50 of them. Like I was always buying like $1,500 contracts on SPX. Like if you go back, like I look back at the what do you call it? Our Telegram sometimes. Those contracts that I was signaling were like 1,500 bucks each every time. Anywhere between like 800, 900 to 1,500. There's no mini or micro SPX. There's XSP, but I don't care to trade XSP, so liquidity. Oh, trust me, I've traded NDX. I've traded NDX before. Where's like pull up the OGs, bro? Yeah, XSP is so hard to get fills. That's why I don't bother with it. I used to trade NDX like every day. Every day. It was like clockwork, bro. Yeah, NDX also super liquid. Do you market order? No, I never market order. You'll get fucked because the spreads on in the money are like anywhere between 5 to 10 points. Especially if it's volatile, then it'll be really bad. Sometimes even 15 spread. I prefer in the money. You have higher chances of winning in terms of like probability of the contract itself. At the money is fine, but in the money your chances are always much higher. How deep in the money? Contracts with a point 0.8 delta on SPY. That's usually what I look for. Yeah, credit spreads are always going to be higher probability of winning. Look at like Dad in TraderLink, that's his tag. He did over like 2 to 3 million in just credit spreads in a year. Are the vol reversion levels you provide in the AM, are those so Geo's gonna work on that where once we get it up on the actual dashboard, then it'll just be on the dashboard. But it's as easy as like copying and pasting the levels that I post, right? Literally, this is what I do every morning. Once it comes out, is what I do. I leave those on my chart. This one is ES. SPX. This is what I do. I just leave all reversion R1 all labeled there, ABS DGX. When the new day comes, double click it, vol reversion R1, go to coordinates, go to R1, copy, paste. R2, same thing, copy, coordinates, paste. Like that's what I do every morning once it releases. Very, very simple. Yeah, with credit spreads, you're gonna need some money to make what Dad makes. Credit spreads takes time, but once again, high probability, less risk, defined risk. Yeah, a lot of the times with credit spreads, the risk reward is like, okay, that's why you try to look for like you try to make sure you're picking the right amount of premium with credit spreads. Like this trade should have had no drawdown today, like crazy RR. Right? If we were to just plot it out. Risk this. Targets were down here or low of day. Crazy R2R. I was honestly only going for 50, but we ended up getting it down to here. It's like that trade had almost a 3R. Sold 60, 65 today. Nice. Perfect. You sold the short level. On this account, okay, this account, Bree, is started with 7K, right? I wasn't making big money on this account. It was like $300 to $400 a day. That was it. That's literally it. And then once again, the reason is because every time I would trim, leave runners, they'd get stopped out. But on the days that you hit runners, you'll hit like those with an account size. Let's say you're using a similar account size of 7 grand. Then that's when you'll start making a lot more when those runners hit. Like today, runners would have definitely hit like hard. Especially if you got in up here, left the stop at break even, like those runners would have hit so hard. Even like 3 contracts and you leave runners, or like 5 contracts, you trim 3 and you leave 2 runners at break even, like they'll hit. Remember what I keep saying is like you want to make sure you trim, you put your stop at break even. Because like one of these days, like similar days like today or even yesterday, right? The runners will hit if you're entering at the right place. Do you drag your stops as order bubbles? No. Usually I don't ever put a manual stop or like an automatic stop unless it's for low unless it's for break even, then I'll leave it there. But most of the time I just sell out manually. Trim to cover cost basis, stress-free runners. Exactly. Like let's say you get in with 2 grand. Um, is it true at the money contracts gain more dollar value when they go in the money? Compared to in the money contracts. Yeah, you're always gonna like picking out the money and having them go super far in the money, you're gonna make the most every time. You're gonna make more than in the money contracts. That's just how it works. Because the deltas are they're gonna pick up a lot more. And if you continue running in that direction, the contracts will go from like 1.0, you'll see 15 on SPX sometimes, right? But keep in mind, if I get in at a 0.8 delta, my delta is not going to appreciate by much. The max it can go is 0.99. Yeah, Fatty took those 35 puts at literally sub $1. TradingView and TraderLink is they're two totally different things. One's a charting platform, one's data. That you can't get this data on TradingView. You can only get it here. You can get it with unusual whales. Accuracy and usability with the same data, highly doubt it's the same. I like ours better. I'm biased though, obviously being a founder. Like if you have the capacity and the extra bit of money, go compare our gamma charts with any other company out there doing like that has gamma. Go for it. I commend you if you think theirs is better than ours. TradingView is just a charting platform. Bro, my beard is getting so long, I look homeless. The fuck? Yeah. Plus, like, I can't grow a full beard, so like, this is the most I can go. Only thing it can do is get fucking puffier. Don't get me wrong, it took me over a year to nail this down, but a huge part is letting them go. Yeah. Yeah, Fatty, I trade di very differently compared to Fatty. How much of your account do you trade? The current one's at 15.8K. I usually trade about 3 to 4K of it as of right now per position because max loss is going to be the odds that I hit max loss are very slim. So like minus 50% on the position is totally fine with me. But on my main account, like if it's $1 million account, like my main one, like I trade with like the safe amount's like 20 to 30K at most. The degenerate amount is like 150,000. Yeah, I usually on smaller accounts, I usually like to trade with 10 to 20% of the count. Like, look, it's you see all this bullshit. Like, I'll be straight up with you. If you have $1,000 account and you see somebody telling you to trade with fucking 3 to 5% to play it safe, good luck making any fucking money. You're better off working a job and saving up money for a bigger account. Any change to market mechanics with this change to T+1 settle? I wouldn't say so. Like even when I was working, like T+2 and there were some things that were T+2 and there were some things that were T+1, like in terms of just cash settlement. Like I don't think there's gonna be a huge change. I don't think there's gonna be a huge change to it. Bless you, Athena. Yeah, yeah. See, options have already been T+1. So what is the first target of profit? And second, when do you let runners run? And out of 10 contracts, how do you distribute them? I'm always trimming 50% when we hit PT1. Like always trimming 5 out of 10 contracts. Usually runners wise, I'll leave 3 out of the position size. You guys should see my dog right now. Hold on. See. We're going crazy. How much percent profit? It's not about percent profit on the first trim. It's about having a price target. Guys, make sure you understand that, or else you're going to be missing out on a lot more money. Like I trimmed here on that play when I entered. I trimmed here, and then I trimmed here. And by then I was fully out of the position at the very end. Like having price targets is going to save you so much headache. And also like it'll help you get higher percentage wins. All right, guys. I'm gonna end it here. I said I want to keep it short and we stayed on for fucking 1 hour. Do you put sell orders in advance? Always put sell orders in advance every single time. All the time. All right. Everyone, have a great rest of your guys' evening. We'll be on depending on how I feel in the morning. Hopefully I'm not actually sick and it's just my brain playing jokes on me. But if I'm feeling sick, I probably won't be on, but I doubt that I'm sick. But anyways, it will be on tomorrow if I'm feeling okay. And then we have live again at 10. So that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the class and the overview. Um, and as always, keep moving forward. Everyone have a great evening.